A Norwegian guy in a horned helmet just rode up an escalator in Boston, live, in public, while Americans filmed it on their phones like they'd just seen a UFO. That's not a joke intro. That actually happened. And by the end of today's video, you'll understand why a fan base that hasn't been to a World Cup since 1998 has somehow become louder than the team that's won 2 of the last 3. Because tonight, in Foxborough, Massachusetts, 2 of the most lethal strikers alive are about to settle something. Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappé, 4 goals each, same tournament, same golden boot race, and for 90 minutes they're going to be standing on the exact same patch of grass. This is Group I, and it has turned into the best subplot of the entire World Cup group stage. On one side, France. Back-to-back finals. A squad so deep they could leave out players that other countries would build a religion around. The bookies' second favorites to win the whole thing. On the other side, Norway. A country that last qualified for a World Cup when Bill Clinton was president and the Spice Girls were still together. A nation so starved of this feeling that their fans have turned a soccer chant into a literal international news story. Here's the first thing nobody's talking about. Both of these teams are already through to the knockouts. Already qualified. Already safe. So in theory, tonight means nothing. In practice, it might be the most watched, highest stakes, meaningless match of the entire tournament. Because this isn't really about the group table anymore. This is about pride. This is about the golden boot. This is about which one of these 2 strikers gets to walk into the knockout rounds with the psychological upper hand. And buried inside all of that, there's a quieter question that actually matters more than people realize. Does finishing first instead of second change Norway's entire route through this tournament? Stick around. Because we're going deep on Haaland, deep on Mbappé, deep on what's actually at stake, and yes, we are absolutely talking about the Vikings taking over Times Square. Let's get into Group I. Let's rewind to December. The World Cup draw happens, and Group I gets put together. France, Norway, Senegal, Iraq. On paper, this looked like the most lopsided group in the entire draw. France, 2-time champions, reigning runners-up, an attacking line that reads like a fantasy football cheat sheet. Norway, a team returning to the World Cup stage after 28 years away. Senegal, dangerous and physical. Iraq, back at their first World Cup since 1986, just happy to be there. Everyone expected France to stroll. Nobody expected Norway to be the team standing opposite them on the final matchday with a puncher's chance at top spot. But here's where it gets interesting. France did exactly what France was supposed to do. Beat Senegal 3-1, beat Iraq 3-0. Professional, controlled, ruthless. 11 goals from open play, defense barely troubled. Norway did something nobody scripted. They beat Senegal 3-2 in an absolute roller coaster of a match. Then they put 4 past Iraq. 2 wins, 7 goals scored, and Haaland involved in basically every single one of them. So now we arrive at matchday 3 with both teams already qualified. And a genuinely simple question hanging over Boston. Who finishes top of Group I? It sounds like a technicality. It is not. Topping the group can shape which bracket you land in for the knockouts. Finishing second can mean a completely different and potentially far more dangerous route through the next 2 rounds. Every World Cup has a team that finished second in the easy group and immediately regretted it. Neither side wants to find that out the hard way. Let's talk about Norway, because their story right now is honestly one of the best in the whole tournament. 28 years. That's how long Norwegian fans waited for this. No World Cup since 1998. An entire generation of supporters who grew up watching everyone else's summer tournament from the outside. And then this squad qualified. And something happened that nobody could have predicted. The fans became the story. It started on an escalator. Boston's South Station. A group of Norwegian supporters in Viking helmets, rocking back and forth in unison, chanting, "Row, row, 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 row," like they were powering a long ship straight up the stairs. Someone filmed it. It went everywhere. Within days, it wasn't just an escalator bit anymore. Hundreds of Norwegian fans were doing the Viking Row in the middle of Times Square, loud enough to drown out an actual yoga class that was happening nearby. Norwegian supporters were demonstrating it live on American breakfast television. The chant made it all the way back to Norway's own parliament, and then the players got involved. After beating Senegal, the Norway squad sat down on the pitch. One of them grabbed a drum, and the entire team did the Viking Row together in front of the cameras, captain and superstar included. This is the part casual fans are missing. This isn't manufactured. This isn't a marketing department's idea. This is a fan base that genuinely did not know if they'd ever see this again, getting to see it and deciding to make as much noise about it as humanly possible. Now put Erling Haaland in the middle of all that energy. A player who has been the most ruthless finisher in club football for half a decade, finally getting his first World Cup appearance at 25 years old. 4 goals in 2 games, a brace against Iraq, a brace against Senegal, an expected goals number per shot that right now leads every single player at this tournament. Haaland himself has been almost suspiciously relaxed about all of it. Asked about facing Mbappé and France, his response was basically, "We're already through, that's incredible, I'm not losing sleep over this." Which, if you know anything about elite strikers, is either genuine confidence or the most dangerous kind of bait. And it's not just Haaland carrying this alone. Martin Ødegaard, the captain, has been the one pulling the strings behind him. The kind of creative engine who makes a front line look organized instead of chaotic. Antonio Nusa has given Norway actual pace out wide, the sort of directness that punishes a high defensive line. This is not a one-man counter-attacking gimmick. This is a coordinated, confident football team that happens to also have the most efficient finisher on the planet leading the line. Norway is not just a feel-good story anymore. They've scored in every single match. They've found different scorers. This is a team that, 28 years removed from their last World Cup, looks like it actually belongs here. And maybe that's the real headline. Not the helmets, not the chant. The fact that underneath all the theater, there's a genuinely good football team that nobody outside Scandinavia saw coming. Now flip to France, because their story is the exact opposite kind of impressive. No fairy tale here, no hashtag moment, just brutal, repeated efficiency. 2 wins, 6 goals scored, 1 goal conceded. The kind of group stage that doesn't generate viral videos because nothing about it looks remotely surprising. Mbappé has scored in 3 straight World Cup matches now. 16 goals in 16 World Cup appearances, level with Miroslav Klose's tally, with only Messi standing above him in the all-time race. He is, by every measure, playing the best version of himself at the exact moment the tournament needs him to. And it's not a one-man show. Michael Olise has been quietly elite, tied for the most assists in the tournament. The fullbacks are pushing forward. The midfield, even with rotation, isn't dropping off defensively. France have conceded the 7th fewest expected goals of any team here. This is a squad built for exactly this scenario. Win your group comfortably, arrive at the business end of the tournament, with players rested and confidence high. The only uncertainty hanging over the camp has nothing to do with form. It's been a difficult week off the pitch for the coaching staff, and an assistant has been managing the technical side in the build-up to this one. Nothing that changes the football. Just context worth knowing. Even with that, the squad's depth means almost nothing changes on the pitch. France can rotate central midfielders, shuffle a fullback, rest a forward for 20 minutes, and the level barely drops. That kind of squad depth is exactly what separates a true tournament favorite from a team that's just having a good month. Norway has talent. France has talent stacked on top of talent, with backups who'd start for most other countries in this draw. On paper, this should be comfortable for France. The bookmakers agree. They're the clear favorites tonight, somewhere around 4 to 5 odds to win outright. But should be comfortable is exactly the kind of sentence that World Cups love to make fools out of. Here's the matchup the entire planet has been waiting for since the draw was made in December. Haaland versus Mbappé. Not metaphorically. Literally, on the same pitch at the same time, both hunting goals, both hunting the same prize, 4 goals each. Tied for the Golden Boot race with only Messi ahead of both of them. Tied for the second most shots on target per 90 minutes at this entire tournament. This is not a manufactured rivalry for a thumbnail. The numbers are doing the hype for us, but style-wise, these two could not be more different, and that's what makes tonight fascinating. Mbappé is explosive in space. Give him a half yard in transition and he turns it into a goal before the defense has finished registering what happened. Against a deep, physical, compact block like Norway's, that space gets a lot harder to find. He'll need to manufacture his own chances rather than feasting on the gaps France usually create with their tempo. Haaland is a different kind of problem entirely. He doesn't need much room. He needs 1/2 second of hesitation from a center-back, and he finishes with brutal efficiency. Against him stand William Saliba and France's central defensive pairing, statistically the best defense Norway will have faced all tournament, having conceded just a single goal across 2 matches. So here's the actual question nobody's framing correctly. This isn't really Norway versus France. It's Haaland against a backline that hasn't been broken down yet, and Mbappé against a defense that hasn't been forced to defend deep yet. Two completely different tests, happening on the same field at the same time. There's also the head-to-head history worth knowing before kickoff. These countries have actually never met at a World Cup before. This is the first time ever. But France's all-time record against Norway in any competition reads 7 wins, 4 draws, 3 losses. The most recent meeting, a friendly back in 2014, ended 4-0 to France. History, on the surface, says this should be routine, but history also said Norway shouldn't have scored 7 goals in their first 2 World Cup matches in 28 years. History's track record in this group has already taken a beating. Whoever wins their individual battle first probably decides the entire match. Quick gut check, because the group as a whole still matters here. Senegal and Iraq are both still alive mathematically, depending on how their match and goal difference shake out. For most of the planet, that game gets ignored entirely in favor of the Boston headliner. But one of those 2 teams could still sneak into the best third-place pool, and that single result could matter just as much for the bracket as Haaland versus Mbappé does. Don't sleep on it just because nobody's talking about it. For France and Norway specifically, though, the calculation is simple. France's superior goal difference means a draw is enough to send them through as group winners. Norway needs an outright win to leapfrog them, which tells you everything about why France might be content to play a slightly more conservative game tonight, while Norway has no choice but to come and try to take it. All right. Predictions. I think France's squad depth and tournament experience edges this. I'm calling it 3-1 to France. Mbappé scores. Probably early, probably from a moment Norway can't legislate for. Haaland gets his goal too, because stopping him for 90 straight minutes against this kind of motivation feels unlikely. But France's bench and their composure in the final 20 minutes are what separates a genuinely even contest from a final scoreline that looks comfortable. The turning point, if I had to call it, whoever scores first. If Mbappé gets an early one, this becomes a French composure exercise from minute 15 onward. If Haaland strikes first, Boston turns into an absolute cauldron, and France's backline has to deal with sustained Viking pressure in front of the loudest away support this tournament has produced. Standout player, regardless of result. Honestly, I think it's Haaland. Even in a loss, the way he's playing right now, he finds the net. And every time he does, somewhere in Times Square, a few hundred people in horned helmets are going to start rowing again. One more thing worth watching that has nothing to do with the scoreline: the bench. France can afford to make changes without losing quality. That's the entire point of having a squad this deep. Norway doesn't have that luxury. If this match goes physical, if it's still tight with 20 minutes left, that gap in depth is exactly the kind of thing that decides Group I without ever showing up on a highlight reel. So here's where Group I actually lands. France, the establishment, doing exactly what champions are supposed to do: win efficiently, stay healthy, arrive at the knockouts as favorites. And Norway, 28 years in the wilderness, turning up with a striker in the form of his life, and a fan base that's somehow become louder than teams that have actually won this thing. Whatever happens tonight in Boston, one thing's already true: Norway showed up, and nobody's forgetting that escalator anytime soon. Who wins the Golden Boot race? Haaland, Mbappé, or does Messi just keep that thing locked up regardless? Drop your prediction below, and if you want the breakdown the moment the final whistle goes, you know what to do. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you for the post-match reaction. See you then.